A father of 5, a brow-beaten wife, and a pretty young girl in the basement.
Then how did it get so out of control?
I don't know.
Crowded together in a house stained with jealousy and blood.
Lust and sex and hatred.
It's a classic love triangle twisted into a mysterious whodunit.
2 people were brutally murdered, okay? And you didn't know what happened.
No.
Careful, don't jump to conclusions. You won't believe the real reason for the slaughter and who wanted 2 people dead.
There was a text message that said, "I'm gonna slit the girl and bust the dad."
The rolling fields of Lothian, Maryland. Sleepy, green, and usually peaceful.
It was just a very rural, quiet, very quiet neighborhood, not a whole lot of activity down there.
But a house in this neighborhood would soon crumble under a bizarre drama of sex and murder.
No one would expect something like this in that small little chunk of Anne Arundel County.
The mystery begins with a 911 call.
Anne Arundel County 911.
But this 911 call is strange. Listen.
I just spent the day taking kids to the dentist and then going grocery shopping. I'm supposed to be leaving to take my husband to a doctor's appointment right now.
The call is so matter-of-fact, so nonchalant, and buries the most important detail.
But he's not responding at all, and he's got his gun laying next to him in the bed. Do you think he shot himself? I don't know. I didn't turn the lights on in the room.
Was she frantic?
She was strangely calm on her 911 call, not frantic at all.
Police arrive to find this charming home on West Bayfront Road is packed to the rafters with clutter and dark secrets.
She's actually still on the phone with 911 when the officers respond.
The caller is a 42-year-old housewife and mother of 5, Anthony Anastasi, a composed, almost shy woman who seems indifferent to her husband's condition.
She's not hysterical.
No.
She's not crying.
No.
She just says, "My husband committed suicide."
Essentially, yes. Very flat.
Anne leads officers through the crates of food and laundry to the upstairs bedroom.
The bedroom was not clean or tidy. That was just how they lived. There were papers, books, movies, clothes, both dirty and clean on the floor.
And on the bed, officers find Anne's husband, Anthony Anastasi, shot in the temple, a .45 caliber pistol just inches from his outstretched arm.
He was lying face up in the bed. There was a single gunshot wound, we could tell, that had been fired at close range based on stippling, which is burning to the skin that comes from a bullet coming out of a muzzle of a gun. But it definitely looked like a suicide, by all accounts.
Anne tells investigators she'd stumbled upon Anthony's body after dropping off her older kids at school, taking a younger one to the dentist, and grocery shopping with her 13-year-old daughter, who was home sick from school that day. The humdrum routine of any large family until
she gets back home and her husband is in bed, motionless, not responding.
Anne tells police Anthony had been depressed.
The evidence that we got, mostly through Anne, was that he had had numerous back surgeries, and so he was unable to work at the time.
The officers begin the grim task of documenting a suicide.
They, in fact, asked if anyone else resided in the home and named her children, many of whom were at school.
Oh, and there's someone else, Anne says. A 25-year-old house guest, Jacqueline Riggs, who lives in the basement apartment.
Jacqueline Riggs was a young lady in her early 20s, seemed very kind of down on her luck. It seemed like she latched onto Anthony Anastasi as an older male, maybe a fatherly type figure to her that gave her a lot of attention. They asked if she was home. She said, "Well, I don't know. I hadn't heard from her today."
The last thing Anne did hear was on the previous night. It was Anthony shouting and fighting with Jacqueline in the basement.
When he returned to the master bedroom and encountered Anne, she said that he was very, very gruff with her, very short with her, told her to take the cats out of the room and go sleep with the children in the adjoining bedroom.
Police descend to the darkened staircase to the basement room and stumble into a scene from hell.
When we first entered the basement, there was extremely loud, heavy metal music playing, which added, for us, an additional kind of eerie effect.
And in the center of the room, it's more than eerie. It's an image of absolute horror. On a blood-soaked carpet lies the butchered body of Jacqueline Riggs.
Stabbed multiple times, all about her body. Torso, head, neck, arms, hands, legs even.
42 savage knife wounds, stabbed 20 times, and slashed 22 more.
There was blood on the walls, blood on the floor, blood on the bed. You know, it was clear that Jacqueline Riggs had fought her attacker based on defensive wounds to her hands and arms.
In the thick of the gruesome scene, Detective Poole notes additional evidence. The outside door, locked. The windows screwed shut. The room strewn with piles of overturned trash.
It looked like perhaps he had stabbed her in the basement and then gone upstairs.
And at this point, you're working on the murder-suicide theory.
Correct. All indications were showing us a murder-suicide.
But those initial indications would be deceiving. Over the next few days, baffling details emerge, ones that turn the case on its head.
We were notified by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner that Mr. Anastasi still had a projectile in his head.
And it's a game changer.
It was a game changer. At this point, we knew that we were not dealing with a murder-suicide.
Coming up, right bullet, wrong gun.
At that point, all bets are off.
And
Anthony and Jacqueline were in a three-way relationship.
with 2 in the three-way dead, case closed? Not so fast.
The more we learned, the more we were shocked. Every part of this was shocking to the soul.
The home was not easily searched. It was not a tidy home. It was not an organized home.
And buried in the clutter, a clue.